A warm hello from Thailand. Could you give me a thumbs up if you can hear my voice? Oh, good. So, thank you. It's a real honor to be here and have this opportunity to shift into 2022 with you. So, those of you in the Austral Asian countries, you know we're already into December 31st, and the festivities here have already begun. So I live near the sea, and my neighbor, there's a resort right next door, and they started partying at 6 a.m. this morning. And so they had all this loud music and a lot of bass, but they said they would stay quiet for 45 minutes. But I just wanted to warn you that we might have background noise, background music, I should say. So a new year, new beginnings, a really good time to pause and reflect on how things have been and how we might like to move forward into the future. So I understand that all of you have been in the flow of practice already with Steve and Cassandra. So I'll do my best to keep the intro as short as possible so that we can drop back into practice as soon as possible. So what I wanted to share with you is a practice that I come back to again and again and again, as it helps realign me with that which is most important. And this practice was originally inspired by one of my core meditation teachers, Alan Wallace. He's a contemplative philosopher, author, very interested in science and quantum physics. So he inspired this practice, but it's been adapted to be infused with the essence of MSC. So what we'll be doing, if you wish, is we'll be exploring questions of the heart and mind as a way to set our motivation for the new year. And we're not doing this to whip us into shape, but rather in the spirit of kindness and care for ourselves. So if you're like me at all, sometimes you might get stuck in these self-limiting beliefs. You might know that saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, or some people, they really hold on tight to this idea, this is just the way I am, these are my habits, and I'm always going to be like this. And when you look closely, these self-limiting beliefs, they really strangle our imagination. So what would it be like if we were aware of the limiting beliefs, if we were able to let go of them, or at least hold them more lightly, so that we can open to the vastness of possibilities that truly exist? So the truth is, we change, it's natural. Neuroplasticity is a fact. So we're always in a constant state of flux, changing throughout our lives. So we'll be exploring what it might be like to open to the vastness of possibilities that truly exist as we move into 2022. And I just want to note that to actualize our potential for greater well-being, it's helpful to first set our motivation in a direction that we find meaningful. So it's like we're creating a vision, an image for what our possibilities are. And to give you a very materialistic example, this room that I'm in right now, it's an Adobe mud meditation room. It didn't magically emerge out of thin air one day, but what happened was many, many years ago, my husband, he had this dream to build a house. And then he started drawing images of what he wanted the house to look like. And then he shared the images with, the architects, the engineers, and many years later, it came into being. So this room became a reality because of his vision. He planted the seed, yeah? So vision is key. It sets the stage for what is possible. So in this practice, it may help us find some of our deepest wishes, or actually, usually we're just remembering because we forget. And I want to note that these need to be realistic visions, aligned with reality. If I have a deep wish to be 20 years old again, not happening. It's not aligned with reality. So we're looking more at the deep, heartfelt wishes. They're kind of in line with the loving kindness phrases from MSC. May I live with more joy, playfulness, gratitude, compassion. So wise wishes that can be cultivated, tuning into the heart. There are 190 people in this Zoom room, so there will be 190 different meditations happening because we all have our own unique heart desires that are very personal. So for the practice, I'll start with settling the body and mind, coming back into more presence. And then we'll shift after about 10 minutes, we'll shift into a more creative aspect of the mind. I'll be asking questions, a series of 3 questions. And it's important to not try to intellectualize or conceptualize the answers, but rather let the questions arrive, drop into awareness, and see what bubbles up. So we're using the questions as a way to connect more deeply with our hearts. And keeping it simple and easeful. So this meditation, it does use visualizations, our imagination. And if that's difficult for you, then just be easy with yourself and see what comes up. So using your own style, being a little bit playful, if you wish, I encourage it. And if, as always, if any feeling of angst, dis-ease, overwhelm, if any of that comes up, or if you start getting lost in a story or a narrative, know that you are always, always in choice. So feel free at any time to shift your attention elsewhere, to sounds, to feeling into the body, grab a cup of tea or take a walk. So offering yourself compassion if needed. And also, if you don't connect with the words that I use, then customize, make them your own. So making this practice your own. Okay, so we're ready to shift in to the meditation. So finding a posture that's comfortable. And this can be done seated, standing, or lying down. You might make any adjustments that would help feel more easeful in the body. Allowing the eyes to close softly. You might like to have a soft gaze if that feels better. And bringing attention into the body, right down to where the body's connecting to whatever is supporting you. The floor, the chair, the bed. Letting the body weight sink more and more deeply into what you're resting on. Feeling into the downward movements, the downward energy of gravity holding you here. So feeling grounded, but also feeling the height of you. Up through the back, neck, head. Shoulders down, relaxed. Allowing the muscles in the face to be soft, especially around the eyes. The forehead spacious. And if you like, placing one or two hands over the heart center or another supportive place. I'm doing this as a reminder to not only bring awareness, but to bring a friendly, warm, kind awareness to yourself in this experience. So you can leave your hands here or let them rest at any time. And now like a fragrance filling a room, letting your awareness fill the body. Being aware of the whole range of sensations arising in the body. Firmness, fluidity. You might notice moisture in the mouth. Range of temperature from cold to hot. Vibrations, movements in the body. We're just simply observing with a kind, curious attention. And then if you like, start noticing the subtle movements associated with the breath. The very subtle expansion on the in-breath, and the softening down on the out-breath. Tuning into the rhythm of the breath. It's sometimes said that the best way to practice is to make it as enjoyable as possible. So when we take delight in the breath, it might be easier to pay attention to. So resting here, resting with this gentle rocking motion of the breath. And if and when the mind wanders off to sounds or other distractions, perhaps smiling inwardly, relaxing the body more deeply, and then bringing your attention right back to sensing the movements of the breath in the body as best you can. Noticing how the in-breath naturally nourishes the body, and on the out-breath, relaxing, releasing more deeply. And on the out-breath, you may like to ask, what do I not need to be holding on to right now? And now letting go of your attention to the breath, and we'll shift our attention to the more creative aspect of the mind. So using your imagination as best you can to bring about a unique vision, a wish towards happiness and well-being. So asking yourself, What do I wish for? What is my heart's desire? How do I envision my own inner fulfillment? So imagining, picturing what it would be like to see yourself being truly well and happy. And if visualizing is difficult for you, then perhaps bringing a sense of what this would feel like into your awareness. What would it feel like to be flourishing, truly well and happy? And keeping this as easeful as possible. If nothing arises in your awareness, no worries. You can come back to the recording of this practice at another time. Sometimes nothing does arise. So offering yourself compassion for that. What is my heart's desire? And if a vision does come to mind of your own happiness and well-being, having the heartfelt wish, may I realize this happiness and well-being. So now from moment to moment, each one of us is always changing. We're constantly in a state of flux. So given this fact, asking yourself, how would I love to transform? What qualities would I love to be free of? What qualities would I love to be free of? And also what qualities, attitudes, values would I love to strengthen and grow? Perhaps you'd like to strengthen and grow more kindness, joy, courage, compassion, gratitude. Envisioning the changes you would love to experience in your evolution as a human being. Imagining short-term as well as long-term shifts. And being curious about what arises. With a spirit of kindness, sending yourself enthusiasm, inner strength, sending yourself the gentle commitment, the commitment needed to actualize these inner values, these qualities. And picturing yourself realizing this type of transformation, this growth. Actualizing this genuine happiness, this compassion. We each exist in an ongoing relationship with the world around us. Whatever we think, say, or do has an impact on society and the environment. Whatever we think, say, or do has an impact on society and the environment. So acknowledging this reality of interconnectedness, asking the question, what would I love to offer to the world? What would I love to offer to the world? And these don't need to be huge, grand offerings, but perhaps more simple, small acts of offerings. What would I love to offer to the world? So how can I make my life meaningful so that when I look back upon my life at the very end, I can look back and have a sense of satisfaction that this was a life well spent. And gently releasing your imagination. Resting and simply being aware of the body. Noticing the energy in the body. Noticing your posture. And feeling the weight of you grounded. And before we end, you might like to offer yourself another gesture of support, whether it's hand on heart or elsewhere. Offering yourself an inner smile again, appreciation and gratitude to yourself for being here. And then expanding your attention outwards, sensing into the room that you're in. The space around you. And when you're ready, opening your eyes if they were closed, if you wish. You might like to stretch. And I'll give you a little time to let that settle. If you like, you might like to journal. And if any meaningful, heartfelt wishes arose, you might like to write them down. Some people like to write them in the form of a loving kindness phrase or a vow, keeping it simple and easeful. And during the next few days before the second part of this celebration, you might like to come up with some creative ways to remember your intentions, your deep wishes. You know, some people like to write them on the bathroom mirror or draw a picture, create a screensaver. I like to have an interval timer go off with a little bing, a little bell sound throughout the day, and that just helps me to pause and remember to come back to that which is most meaningful. So we have a few minutes before Ben comes on again. So if you have any ideas, ways that you remember, it would be really nice to see these in the chat. How do you remember your heartfelt wishes, your intentions? So Post-it notes, yeah. Yellow stickies, writing it down so you can see it when you wake up. Thank you for the link. Year in Review booklet. Asking a friend to remind me. Yeah, practice, practice, practice. Yeah. Not only on the cushion, but in all those moments throughout the day when you're cooking, doing the garden. So thank you everyone for sticking around for 3 hours. I'm so grateful for my neighbors. That was really hard to start when this, the room is moving. It was difficult, but yeah, I'm more grounded now. So Happy New Year's, everyone. And I'll hand this back to Ben.